holistic realms. Journey into the unknown, combining holistic perspectives with the supernatural and delving into the mysteries of life and death experiences with your host, Julia.
Hello and good evening and welcome to it is the 8th episode of Beyond the Veil, Exploring Holistic Realms. I am now back in Saskatchewan again. I just got back a few days ago. So for those who tapped into my show last weekend, thank you. I had a few new listeners. I was out in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. I was actually out visiting my best friend and her family, her husband, 3 kids, the dog, the cat, the mother-in-law, the brother, the nieces, the nephews, everybody that came together for this beautiful joining of friendship. So tonight's episode, I'm going to veer kind of off in a different way because I've done 8 episodes and 8, sometimes I do that numerology thing, and 8 represents that wholeness, that infinity sign, if you kind of put it the other way. And it's just tapping into something a little bit more, tapping into yourself. And what a soothing show that we're airing tonight, because it is the full moon. And this is January's full moon, first full moon of 2024. And once again, you add those numbers up. 2 plus 2 plus 4 equals 8. So once again, there is that almost infinity sign and that balance. So I'm going to kind of tap into a little bit of that full moon energy. So what is the importance of a full moon? Now, I've talked about on episode 3 of winter solstice. I've talked about new moons. I believe I've talked about full moons before. But what is the significance? Why do people celebrate today or the full moons? What does this represent? So a full moon is about when the moon, so that feminine energy, because a moon energy is that yin energy. It is the highest feminine energy in the sky, whereas the sun is masculine, and they mirror each other. So everything in our life is of full balance. That yin energy, that yang energy, masculine, feminine, white, black, everything just goes together. Day, night, hot, cold, shallow, deep. So we're going to dig a little bit deeper within this. So a full moon has this beautiful aura to it. It has this light that shines down, and it just fills the sky with this beautiful, beautiful light. Obviously not like the day, but a lot of times we can see this miraculous moon in the starry night. And it's about shining down on the things that when we have tried to manifest during a new moon, the seeds that we've planted. But a full moon is about releasing and letting go of the things that no longer are needed. So if you want to look at it as, say, cultivating a garden, whereas a new moon, we're planting the seeds of what we want. Oh, hello from Vegas. Hello, Chris. So what we're doing is we want to cultivate and plant those seeds on the new moon. So now what we're doing is we're getting rid of anything that no longer serves us. So if we look at that garden piece in the garden of our life, what is it that we want to nurture? What do we want to have flourish and blossom in our lives? And right now we're able to, with the light of the moon and that feminine nurturing energy, start picking those weeds and start getting rid of the things that no longer need to be in our lives if they're not serving our highest good. So I'm going to start this program off. So for those who are just tapping in for the first time, this show is a variety of things. Beyond the Veil is more than just what you see, what you hear. It's about the known and the unknown. It's about the seen and the unseen. It's delving into life experiences and death experiences and everything in between. I like to tap into different modalities, things that I do. I'm a certified BodyTalk practitioner. I also do Reiki, tarot readings, card readings. I do a variety of things. But I open this platform for people to have a comforting place to ask questions, to have something that they can kind of hang on to if they have those questions of life, death, the other side, anything like that. So back to what I was saying, the full moon energy. So this morning I woke up and I knew the full moon is coming because I am a moon goddess. And what I say for that, a lot of women are those moon goddesses. Women cycle with the moons. That's why we menstruate as well. We're the most powerful during this time. And we link to that, the feminine energy of the moon. But as a moon goddess, I can start feeling the energies and things changing. Sometimes I don't know the actual date, but I can feel something. Like I either get headaches or I feel that I need to shift things or move things around or really clear my space. And for those, after I post this on YouTube, normally where I have my my broadcasting, like in my house, is I have like big paintings and whatnot in my room, and I've actually got rid of a lot of my stuff and I'm clearing to make a new space for me. So you will notice that I got rid of a few things and I'm creating a blank canvas of what I truly want in my life. And so this is what I'm manifesting in getting rid of things that no longer serve me, things that have brought me down, things that I couldn't remain in my life for a very long time. So I just got a message. So I do have 4 screens going on all at the same time. So sometimes I pause and see what's going on in all these screens. I just got a shout out from my girlfriend from Halifax. I bought her a book about, it's called Sea Glass Journey, because her husband had given me this absolutely stunning globe of light, and how soothing. It was like this big, beautiful globe of sea glass. And as he's going through what he needs to go through in his life right now, we had a really good conversation of what else is in this world, from that spiritual aspect, that mental, emotional aspect. And so he had taken this sea glass, and for those who don't know what sea glass is, I'm kind of veering off of the full moon, but I am going to circle back. Sea glass is what we find from the sea, and it's from centuries ago of settlers and people who have been at sea, who have thrown aboard or thrown off board different glass pieces, and it can be from porcelain to medicine bottles, alcohol bottles, anything like that. And the sea takes it and it spins it around, and it ends up coming back to the shore at some point. And you can find these beautiful pebbles of glass. Some are shaped of hearts, some are jagged, some have these bubbles in it. And each one has like a wonderful magical story to them, just like each and every one of us do in our lives. That all of us have this magical story because we're all just trying to live and survive the storm and those tidal waves, and not just thrive, but survive in this world that we're living. But the sea glass can be found on the shore. So one of my last days in Halifax, my girlfriend's husband, herself, and some of the kids, we all walked upon the shore and honored the sea, and found a few pieces of glass. And that night during supper, they presented me with this gorgeous globe of sea glass, and it's this beautiful art piece. And I was even saying the night before that if he ever wanted to market it as art, because it's so stunning, I said he could just market it as he is developing his life and bringing himself back to this earth, and his light in life is starting to shine again. He can gift that to others as well. But yeah, I got it gifted to me, And so she had done a reach out to me. So, but at the airport, I found this book called A Sea Glass Journey. And so I ordered one so they would have it on their doorstep today during the full moon, because my girlfriend, as I talked about last week, she was my co-host on episode 7 in Halifax, Nova Scotia. We talked about what the moon represents for us, and no matter where we are in this world, it's like we're standing there holding each other's hand and helping each other through the good times, the bad times, and everything in between, because we're both looking at the exact same moon. So I'm happy she got that. I don't know if she's listening because it is 2 hours ahead and she wakes up very early with all those little children, and she's doing a great job, but she'll probably watch this on YouTube after. I'm going to take a little bit of a breath here, right? It's a little bit dry here. The weathers have been changing here. It went from minus 52 to, I think it's plus temperatures tomorrow here in Saskatchewan. So my whole heating system of my house is kind of up and erratic right now. So I'm going to have to take a few more drinks of water. Anyways, back to that full moon. So this morning I woke up and I knew that the full moon was upon us, because I never sleep well during the full moon when it starts shining. It's brightest when it's closest to the earth, because it really shows me the things that I want to get rid of in my life. And there's a few things that I want to get rid of. But the biggest thing right now is the accumulation of things. And so I've really kind of stepped back, and hence why I've cleared out one of these rooms. The accumulation of things makes you latch onto things that aren't as important as the love of family or the ones that you hold very dear to you, because anything can happen so quick. And so I was purging a few weeks ago, and as I was purging, things just really changed in my world, because the more things that I let go of, the more freedom I had, and the less fear I have on certain things. And it's interesting how you hold a piece of, like an article of clothing, how it can hold such memory in it, and resistance to change. How if you perceive yourself as a certain size at one time, or you can't go back to that size, or this was the only time I looked good. Like, it's interesting how our brains will play with us on that. And so I got rid of a lot of things. But this morning, when I woke up and I had my coffee and I was reading about what this new moon is, and they call it the wolf moon. And so I kind of joke at that yes, it's because we can howl at the moon, and a lot of us do, because we just want to yell out and be like, yes, we can do this. But it's that howling that's just bringing your voice up. It's bringing it up and out, and for more people to hear. It's about speaking your truth, and that's exactly what this show is. It's about speaking my truth, but it's allowing other people to recognize their truth and speaking theirs as well. And I just hold this platform for whoever wants to talk on it with me, or if you get any healing components from this. Some people feel very calm after they hear my show. Some of them get awakenings of what's transpiring in their world. But this morning with the wolf moon, I looked a little deeper about the significance of this, and they call it the moon of Leo right now. So for all those astrological signs or zodiac signs of Leo, this is that strong energy of like shining, being, I guess, the center of the show. But each and every one of us should honor that we are the star of our own show. We are the star of our own life, our own destiny, our own manifestation of whatever we want to cultivate in this life. There's not one person in this world that can completely stop you from doing that. I know it feels like that, and I know lots of people might disagree with that with me, from like government to parents to spouses, children, anything like that. But if, and I've said this once and I'll say it again, it's only you that carry your thoughts. You're the only one that hears them. You need to put your oxygen mask on, and you got to take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself and you don't cultivate the life that makes you happy, that you need in this world, what does it matter? Because if you're not happy, if you are not living, then what is it? What is life, right? Anyways, that can go down like a rabbit hole of existence as well. A lot of us do have moments in our lives where we feel a little drained, or there's a dullness or that mundane, but it's about finding those passions again. It's about finding what you want to bring forth in your life. And I can tell you one thing, after coming home from Nova Scotia, from Halifax, I had another huge awakening. I decided, well, it was New Year's Eve, and I was just looking at different flights of, what's out there, what could I go to? And there was this steal of a deal flight from Regina to Halifax, and I couldn't let that opportunity go. And so I called my best friend in Halifax and I said, do either of these weekends work for you? And I chose this weekend because I felt that I needed her just as much as she needed me. And we did have a discussion that both of us were just in this, not a funk, but just, it's life. And sometimes life gets ahead of us, and we think that things should be moving and shaking and doing what we anticipated it should do, and it doesn't turn out that way, and you can kind of get lost in that. And so when I went out to Nova Scotia, I had a few days where, before I went, of maybe canceling my trip, because my daughter, she had a really bad accident, and she's my little volleyball star. And as she was doing a very important volleyball game, a tournament, the girls were winning. It's her first year being in this elite club, and it's her passion, and it brings her so much joy, and it's absolutely her life. She eats, breathes, sleeps, digests volleyball, everything. Like, she just strives for the best and perfection in volleyball. And she had a freak accident where she jumped up to block a ball, and all she did was land. She just hit the ground. It's all she did. She landed on her foot and snap. Her left fibia and tibia, so those two bones in your leg right at your shin, snapped, and she went down. And as a mother watching that, it was one of the hardest things for me to experience, because it was more than a scream. It was like her whole world was tumbling, and to watch this very strong and powerful girl that I've raised crumble like that. And all of us just rushed to her, and we had an ambulance. And I remember there's a lot of things that happened during that, and I touched on it a little bit on my show either last week or 2 weeks ago. But she kept saying, I can't, it hurts to breathe. Now, I'm going to tap into that, and we're going to get back to the moon stuff as well. But I just kind of want to just talk about this to see if there's anybody else that's experiencing this too. When it's tough to breathe, when it's hard to breathe in life, where you have that shallow, short breath, that, right? When you just, there's nothing really that you're breathing in, or that you can't breathe it out. You can't inhale and expand your lung to that full capacity, or you can't exhale, collapsing everything and expelling everything out. Now in BodyTalk, we breath, well, everything is important, but breath is very important in how we find that synthesis and harmony within our bodies, and allowing and helping our clients through that breath. Because when we breathe in, we're actually scanning the higher frequencies of energy, and we're scanning within our body, like for each individual cell, for each person. When you breathe in, you're breathing in what is actually happening. You're breathing in that life. You're breathing in the emotion, the higher frequencies. That's your higher self. And you pause and you blow it out. And when you blow it out, that's releasing and letting go. And sometimes it's harder to do because that's that physical component and that chronic pain, the deep-rooted stuff that sometimes we hang on to. And so when I'm watching my daughter laying upon the court, holding her leg, and as a registered nurse, I knew the implications of what was going to be happening. I knew instantly she would be needing surgery, and it would be a major surgery. I knew like the recovery time. I've seen this surgery. I've helped patients through this surgery. But in that moment, I was a mom. I wasn't a BodyTalk practitioner. I wasn't a nurse. I was her mom. And I got really nervous to watch her go through this. But she started saying, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. It hurts to breathe. And then she held my hand and she said, Mom, my career is over. Now she's going to be 15 years old. And to believe that your whole world is set out when you're 15 years old, it threw me, because looking back at where I was at 15, I thought the same thing. I thought that the things that happened to me when I was 15 years old would completely change me, and I wouldn't be the same after that. You can change, because life is all about change. With every breath, inhale and exhale, it's changing. Everything in this world is changing. There's nothing permanent, right? So good, the bad, everything in between. Just to reflect on that for just a moment. Now, we got my daughter to the hospital, and I met my ex-husband there, and my daughter thought it was the funniest thing because we haven't talked for a very long time. But we needed to be there for her. And it was a beautiful moment where we could actually communicate for the one thing that was important in both our lives, and that's her. And we helped her pull through this in our each individual way, but not bringing in any components of what we have reserved for each other, or however you want to call it. But we both got to experience and help her through the best way we could help her through this. And so I watched my daughter have an awakening the night after her surgery when she was going through pain. And she hasn't really mentioned it, but from experiencing it from my near-death experience, and even from my mom's passing in 1983, when you see a spirit pass, and when I say that, my daughter could talk about it to me. She's laying in this hospital bed in a code, so a code blue, like a medical emergency, would call overhead, and my daughter would just look at me and watch somebody pass through the room. And she goes, Mom, where are they going? And I said, well, that's the hospital spirit, sweetheart. And then she'd be okay for a minute. And my daughter was having a really hard time with the pain component. And because she couldn't breathe it in, she couldn't breathe in that life that was happening when she went under. And when I say under, I mean like general anesthetic. When she went under, she had that in her mind. There was no way to process or breathe through it or have that healing component. And I'm sure people are going to ask me, well, why didn't you do a session? I don't automatically do sessions. I do like fast aid to help bring down the nervous system, like the fight and flight for someone, so their cells can do what they need to do. But it's not my job. It's not my job to change somebody's journey. I did ask her, and I did a little bit of a session in the hospital a few days later, but she needed to experience it. She needed to experience where I had my near-death experience just a few floors underneath her, and it was almost like mirroring what I had experienced in 2000 or sorry, not 2000. Well, yeah, in 2018, my near-death experience, but me as a child in 1983. But my daughter was laying on that hospital bed and so much pain medication. We could not control her pain. And she would slowly start sinking into that subconscious and start falling into that deep REM sleep and passing alpha, going into delta. And right before she went into delta, she would wake up and she'd start screaming. And she would scream about either the people that were around her bed, of, Mom, why are they standing here? Why do they keep asking to take me? I should go with them. I should go with them. And so as a medium looking at that, she saw her ancestors. She saw people who have passed before her to give her the option, do you want to stay or do you want to go? And I remember that when I had my near-death experience. But watching it on this side of the veil, watching it as almost the nurse side, the parent side of your child going through that, it was miraculous. Absolutely. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable to see somebody's journey like that. Now, she doesn't realize how close she was to stop breathing. There was several times because of the amount of medication that was being put into her. And her breaths would slow and slow, and then they just kind of stopped breathing. And I would kind of go, Jada, and then she'd kind of stir a little bit and breathe a little bit. Oh, Mom, it hurts to breathe. It hurts to breathe, because you have to deal with the emotions. You have to deal with what's happening as well, that pain as well. And man, that emotional pain, it hurts so much more than physical. Not that I'm saying my daughter's physical pain wasn't bad, because, oh man, that was a bad break. But having her have those spirits around her and being so close to that veil and watching it on this earth realm, because I can tap into that, and I've been there a few times with my near-death experiences. I'm going to say plural because there has been a few. And so friends who know me know that I've had a few. Even though my book talks about one, I have had a few. And she pulled through. And I remember it was this huge reflection of kind of what I went through. And I gifted her what I wanted during my awakening. And I just held a platform, and I just held a loving space for her if she wanted to talk about it. I just held her hand, and that's all she wanted. She wanted my hand, and the minor chakra the hand is a minor chakra. It's a mirrored image of your heart. And so when you hold somebody's hand or gift them your hand, you can almost read their heart. And she needed my heart with her. She needed not to use her words of what she's experiencing, but know that I would help her if she went too close to the other side. But yeah, watching that, and then I honestly did not take care of myself during that, because I couldn't sleep. At one point I was up for 37 hours watching her until I like my whole body collapsed, and I said, I gotta get some sleep, sweetheart. And I got some sleep, and I got some food, and I realized I didn't put that oxygen mask on for myself. And I tried to basically gift her my life, and I would give anything for her. Both of my children, I would give anything for those two. But then I realized I have to take care of myself. And so getting back to what I said kind of at the beginning of the show, that I was thinking about not going to Halifax. And I talked with my daughter, and I did talk to my ex-husband and my new partner, and we all kind of said it's the best thing. And there's no point, because my daughter was coming out of the hospital, and her pain was starting to get controlled. She was out of the woods for the hardest part, because we were looking at compartment syndrome, which is so much swelling that they would have to go in for another surgery. And we were out of the woods for that. But this I needed for me. I needed this so I could be a better mom, to take care of myself. And I needed to be by the ocean. And I needed my best friend to hug me and laugh with me just like we used to, and just lay on the couch and be completely silly, wearing our pajamas and drinking tea and talking about the most obscure things, because that's what life's about. It's not about the grandiose things, but it's just being beside somebody that you can just be with. And then going out to the sea and getting the sea glass, but being one with the sea again and breathing that in, and coming back to Saskatchewan and just having like this new persona, this new beautiful thing for me to step into. And going back to the full moon, so I get home and 14 hours on a plane, rush to get my car, rush to get my daughter, rush to get her wheelchair and all of her aids for her recovery, all the things that we have to adapt to in the house to help her live the best life she can right now with the pain and the not moving her leg. And it was just go, and then trying to feed her, and then getting her into bed. And I was up for a very long time again, and just having her underneath my house and being with me and giving her the gifts of I got her a bunny hug from Nova Scotia, from Halifax. And with that, just having that around her, like just having her wear that, I didn't realize how important that is to her. Like when I was away, she wore my nursing bunny hug just so I would be with her energetically, because she knew that my arms are always wrapped around her and I'll help her pull through anything. But so this morning when I was looking at that full moon, yes, it's Leo, but it's also to do with Pisces, and Pisces is my sign. That's my astrological sign, and it's another water sign, and it's linked to Neptune. And Neptune, as all the planets are linked, or have an archetype of a god, and so this is Neptune, or Poseidon, the god of the sea. And when I was in Nova Scotia, I got to see that god of the sea. And it's not just Poseidon, but I got to see the goddess in myself again. I got to see how powerful I am, because I can manifest whatever I need to manifest in a world that I need to be in. And I've learned how to do that through my journeys. But there was one thing that I read this morning that really kind of threw me, and I'm going to get to some of these comments. I have some on my phone, and I have some in other places as well, so I am going to get to those. But there's one thing I read about the colors of this moon. And so as I'm finding my voice again, but helping other people find their voice, like from this radio station. Oh, bunny hug. Oh, sorry, somebody just commented bunny hug. In Saskatchewan, we call hoodies bunny hugs. I don't know why, but we always call it a bunny hug. I tend to forget that that's a Saskatchewan thing. Just like toques, other people call them beanies. Yeah, that's really funny. So this morning when I was looking at the colors of what this full moon represents, it was silver, dark green, white, black, and blue. And then I looked at that again, and I said to my partner as I was describing like what this moon represents, and I said that silver is about finding the silver lining in things. That dark green is the healing that you've done from those times where you felt that you couldn't get through. You're healing from them. The white is that white and blank canvas that you always have, never to completely paint the picture. I mean, you can look towards your future and have goals. I'm not saying that. But if you paint your entire future of how everything is, sometimes it leads to disappointment and fear and the latching onto that material things and the things that actually aren't really important in this world. And then the last one is the black and blue. And I laughed and I said, it's all the times where you felt like you were beaten. You felt like you were beaten down, and you still got through. You still got through. Yeah. So that was kind of a little thing here. So I'm going to go to one of the comments that I have on my phone. Back to the story of with my daughter here. What do you mean by hospital spirits going through? Okay, a hospital spirit. So when people pass, they, how do I put this? My daughter has a gift as well. She hasn't fully admitted to that gift, and I don't know if she will ever. It took me a long time to admit it too. But sometimes you can see spirits. So when somebody is crossing over, when they're walking through, you can actually see them walking towards the light. And sometimes a spirit just needs another to watch them do it, to make sure that they're on the right path. It happened, I wrote a chapter, Do Not Resuscitate, in my book, The Lily Nurse Rebooted, Rebirth, and Finding a New Path. And in that, it was about when my stepmother had passed away, and I was the one that walked with her when she was crossing over to the light. But in the hospital setting, and you can ask other nurses, especially nurses that deal with a lot of death, like a lot of geriatric, like nursing home, hospice nurses, surgical nurses, emergency nurses, people who have dealt with death, ICU nurses. There's something that happens to people. So when you're circling the drain, that's a nursing term. I can't believe I just said that. So when somebody is very close to that veil or crossing over, when somebody passes, they want somebody to come with them so they're not alone. And so if somebody is very sick or somebody is very close to dying, it's like they get a choice. Do you want to stay here, or do you want to come with me and we're going to go to the light? So that's what I mean by the hospital spirit walking through. There's a few more here. Is that someone passing away elsewhere in the hospital and their spirit leaving from home? Yeah, normally it's whoever's passing in the hospital. Now, with that said, there is hospital spirits that they're just kind of hang out, and it's almost that purgatory, and they walk around. And I mean, it's not just hospitals, it's hotels, it's different homes, it's parks, it's different places where people have passed. It's not just cemeteries, but not everybody's ready to go to the light, and they have things that they have to complete here on this earth. And I've talked about that in a few episodes about earth angels. But yeah, a lot of times people just hang out, or I'm going to say people, but spirits will help others through difficult times, because that is like their purpose. Perhaps that's what they deemed, or I don't know, I can't talk for every spirit, right? Because I'm not every spirit. I don't know the rationale to why exactly it happens, but it's just living my experience and seeing them. Okay, so there was another comment here through Facebook. Okay, so that one I will get to after. Sorry, I was just reading it. It was just about new moon ceremonies, and also about just different things that they're experiencing through this new moon. So I'm not going to read that one because it's a little personal. That's why they kind of wrote it on my Facebook there. Okay, so a little bit of last week. So I got to have, a week with my daughter in the hospital, and going through what I needed to go through, and seeing how much the hospital has changed. Now, over the last few years, over 5 years, 5.5 years, I had this hardship. I still loved it, but I was hardened from it. Not my patients, but just like the industry. And I know a lot of people have experienced this, especially over COVID and whatnot, of just feeling like that you're not really heard within the hospital setting, or if you get sick, it's like this, like just kind of disregarded, just kind of like pushed off, like you don't really matter, like just kind of get over it sort of persona. Because that's kind of what I experienced. And I had this really hardened piece to myself, and I just wanted so desperately to have that shift in me, but in our Western medicine. Now, I always said, well, I'm just one person and I can't do this on my own. Collectively, we're all doing it, you guys. And I actually saw it both sides. Like, there is a lot of hardship and a lot of people are very burnt out, and nurses are being very overworked, doctors, nursing students. Like right now it's kind of all hands on deck and just trying to do the aftermath of COVID, because everything else was pushed aside. And there's a lot of acute cases, so very serious cases, from very severe cancers, like heart problems. Like there's so much more disease out there because people couldn't find that breath within dealing with their reality over the last few years. Now, with that, I felt very honored to be back in that hospital. And I wasn't at work, but seeing like my old colleagues and seeing every inch of that hospital, there's a memory, and being open to what I see and what spirits are there, and watching those spirits kind of sitting beside their loved ones. And it was miraculous. I'm going to use that word again. It truly was. But actually sitting down, and when my daughter slept, because I wasn't sleeping, I just kind of wanted to be wide awake to make sure she was okay. But I would sit down with some of the nurses that were taking care of her and just listening to them, and how there's more of a holistic approach, and how a lot of them are taking different modalities to help them in their practice, from Reiki, that they do acupuncture, that they do breathing techniques. Seeing the nurses with my daughter, and I don't know if it's because we're more open to it, because that is what I do, but seeing it, and these nurses weren't afraid to suggest things like that. It was incredible. And I'm going to bring this, bring my story back a little bit from a few years ago, to 3 years ago, when I went back to nursing after being off for a little while with my near-death experience. And I traveled Canada after leaving nursing after my near-death experience, and I became a certified BodyTalk practitioner. I learned Reiki. I learned different things from traditional Chinese medicine, from shamans. Like, I tapped into so much. For me back then, looking at that, can you teach BodyTalk? Oh, somebody asked if I can teach it. Well, I haven't taken the exams to teach it, but you can contact me. I can teach you a few different techniques, and I'll show you where to go with the International BodyTalk Association. I teach other things, and I'll private message this girl who's messaging me on Facebook. But with I did BodyTalk, and at the time, because I was really nervous of my awakening and what I was experiencing, it was almost like a trauma response. And so I really wanted to like read and tap into like everything and anything I could, and just keep my brain so active that I didn't want to breathe everything in. But once I started to calm, like my practice got a lot better, and I started to calm because I knew that I could take care of myself and be the best person I could be for myself, and then being the best person for whoever wants to come into my world. And I brought that mentality back into the hospital when I went back to work. And I started off at my original a unit where I had my near-death experience. And I was very honest. I said, I can't do this. Like, it's way too traumatic. There's too much stuff that I see. It's like I could see myself and my essence just walking the halls of that unit. And I'm like, I can't do this. It feels like I'm not fully back. So I don't want to do this. So I ended up switching jobs and I worked at women's health. And so my daughter, excuse me, I just kind of burped that out. My daughter says that's her favorite place where I have worked, because she even did a few little essays and presentations of what I did there. And she said, my mom helps women at their most vulnerable time of their lives and walks them through their most difficult times in their life. And at the time my daughter was little, well, I mean, she would have been 11, 12, and hearing that, and I took that feminine energy and I did help these women, but it mirrored back to me, and I was helping myself, and therefore I helped it. But within that Western medicine aspect, I wasn't afraid to say what I do, and I wasn't afraid to talk about how I was helping these women learn their breath. And before their surgeries, because we ran our own OR there, and we would do the conscious sedation there, us as nurses, special training. And one of the surgeons had said to me, there's something that happens whenever you're at the head of the bed with a patient. What do you say to the patient? And I said, I get them to breathe. They said, you barely give any medication, any pain medication when they go through their surgeries, and they never bleed out or anything. Why? And there's almost like this light that shines over you guys. And so some of the surgeons started noticing that, and I was very honest. And I said, if you can breathe in the experience and all of the good and the crappy part that's happening, you're not going to box it up and have to deal with it at a later time. If you're able to breathe through and give somebody your hand so they can breathe it in and breathe it out, because these women were going through some major difficult decisions in their lives. Because what we do in Western medicine sometimes is we numb that emotional pain, and we don't actually address what's underneath that. Yes, there is physical pain, but that emotional pain can be far more painful than that physical pain. And so I would have some of the surgeons come out, and the gynecologists and whatnot, and they would almost challenge what I could do. And they would say, okay, do your thing. I go, what do you mean my thing? And they said, well, teach us what you do. And so I started just doing these pauses in the room of just allowing everyone in the room. And I had no qualms in showing everybody how to do that. It's about breath. It's about breathing in anything that you're coming into in this operating room. All of us are linked for whatever reason together, and all of us can heal and maneuver through the things that we need to maneuver from. And so I started writing proposals and doing case studies of how the healing components in different modalities and honoring that does in the Western medicine setting. And it's not that CAM, that complementary alternative medication. It is they complement, right? They complement each other. It's not one without the other. You need both. And watching that unfold. And I ended up leaving that hospital setting because during COVID I was redeployed and I had to go somewhere else. And that's a whole other story for another show. But I so wanted to do that proposal of the importance of these healing modalities within Western medicine, because Eastern culture, they do Reiki or acupuncture prior to surgeries. You start that healing component prior to that physical component. You do that spiritual component, that mental, emotional state, so then you can actually heal your physical state, which then goes back to that mental, emotional, and spiritual self. And there's that figure eight. There's that figure eight. Everything starts balancing and talking and communicating. And it's this orchestra, this symphony of breath and this symphony of fluidity in life that people can be gifted. Because being a patient you just have to be patient with being a patient. And that's your gift that you get, is being patient with what comes into your world. Anyways, I can do rants on that. I'm very passionate about that. But when I stepped away from that nursing role in the hospital and doing other roles, and I do community nursing, and I've stepped away from that a little bit as well. But seeing it on that pediatric unit, I felt honored to be a nurse again, that we are going back to what Florence Nightingale, the founder of what nursing is, what she envisioned nursing is. She is the lady of the lamp. She is the one that would gift her patients their light back just by putting the oil in the lamp and taking care of their environment. Because like a seed that we plant during that new moon, you can heal as much as you can or as much as you want. You can heal and you heal. But if you put yourself in a toxic environment, it's not going to grow, and you're not going to grow. And so it was really beautiful to see, going back into that hospital setting, that people are actually acknowledging the awakening. It's people are acknowledging the mental aspects, the trauma of what my daughter experienced, but honoring each other, honoring if the staff members are exhausted, or how they can help each other. It's I think that Western medicine, perhaps maybe it's just that unit, or perhaps more people are tapping into this, being one with themselves. So that makes me very excited. And as I'm ending this program tonight, I just want to talk about something that happened a year ago. And a year ago, I had done a BodyTalk course. And it was when my son was turning 18. And I wanted to do, it's called, it's a matrix course. If you're not a BodyTalk practitioner, you won't have any idea what I'm talking about. But it's this very fascinating course, and it's one of my favorite courses. And so I was just doing a refresher, and I did the course, and I was the last demo of this course. And so, of course, we demo on each other our skills, and just to, you're not a good practitioner if you don't practice your skills or you don't get sessions on yourself. And so there were some very interesting things that came up. And exactly 5 days after, I had almost another near-death experience. This time I did not cross over. I went to work, and that was when the masks were implemented. And I donned my mask like a good conformed nurse, and I went to my desk, and I started reacting. And when I say reacting, my throat was getting scratchy, and it was very similar, and it mimicked what happened May 10th, 2018 on my near-death experience. And my face swelled, my airway closed, my nose started bleeding, and they had to work on me again because of a mask. And a lot of people were very like, yes, pro mask and anti-mask, whatever I'm not getting into, that's a whole other thing. But I had an anaphylactic reaction to a mask, and it wasn't just the whatever was in the mask, but it was also that feeling of being silenced, of the things that I couldn't talk about anymore. But I had to get medication put into my body again. I was off for a very long time because I was very sick. It actually damaged my lungs. My heart is kind of got re-damaged again because of it. And that's why I'm kind of not nursing right now. And I'm trying to get back and get stronger again. But there were some things that came up. And as I only have probably about 5 more minutes left of this show, and this full moon energy, I want to end this with, so a year ago, I had this another experience. And I remember I was on my last breath again. And I remember looking up, and I'm like, not again. And the physician, I had all these women around me. There was about 7 women in the room. And this one physician looked at me and got me to stick out my tongue. And she said, Julia, your face is swollen. Your tongue is swollen. Your airway is closing. We're going to give you some medication. She said it so calmly. And so they put, actually, I'm wearing the same sweater that I wore a year ago. Whoo, that's crazy. Oh, I just got chills. Ha! Oh, man, I got chills. Ugh, shake that off. But they had to take this sweater dress off. They gave me some medication in one arm. And as they were doing it, I dropped to my knees and I had my one hand on the floor. And I remember me thinking in my head, and it was like I was screaming for the whole freaking earth to hear and all of the realms and everything. I'm not crossing over because I didn't say goodbye to my daughter. And I remember slapping my right hand upon that floor. And it was like this ripple effect that I was going to bring in the most healing components I could in any aspect that I could within myself, within my environment. And I place that hand on the floor. And I even have girlfriends who still talk to me about it, that they changed after that. And I'm ending this episode with that ripple effect of standing up for what you believe in, and not just that, but what you want as an individual, but for a society, for each and every one of us, is this beautiful, beautiful, intricate part of this amazing world and universe. And all of us are so important, and not one of us should be pushed aside, but to be looked at and to just help everybody breathe. And I got to see that in the hospital. So I'm going to start closing this off. Thank you for joining me again tonight for the 7th episode of Beyond the Veil. I wish you the most blessed full moon, whatever you need to do. The power of the moon is highest tonight and another 3 days after. If you're feeling a little off and your head's a little foggy, it could be that. Take a few breaths for yourself. Go outside and enjoy just a minute of what you need for yourself. Blessed be everyone. We are all here for a reason. There's not one of us that is greater or less than anybody else. And I'm truly grateful for each and every one of you for taking the time to be with me, to be with yourself, and taking that time of breath. Everybody take a nice deep breath in and blow it out. Happy full moon, everyone. It is a time to release and let go of the things that no longer serve you. I bid you farewell and goodbye, but not forever. See you next week, everyone. Good night.